Welcome to Ready, Set, Real Estate, where we will help empower and educate you on many different aspects of real estate, finance, and investing. Each week, we will expand your knowledge and uncover hidden truths. We will break down real-world scenarios and study actual how-to strategies. Anyone can buy real estate, but together we'll ensure you make smart real estate investment decisions. Now, here's your host, award-winning author, international speaker, and real estate educator, Lisa Gillett.
Happy new fiscal year 2025. Wow. This is incredible that we are already at this place in time. Let me get myself on here. Oh, this is what happens when you touch stop. Oh, this is what happens when you haven't been online for a while. Happy new year, you all. A fiscal new year, of course, seasonally, New Year's during the spring equinox, that whole good stuff. If you know, you know. Also, although I am coming on in good spirits and positivity, I do want to acknowledge that California is burning right now. And this was the first time I actually watched the news this morning, and I was really saddened. I was upset. I was frustrated, but in this time of need for those people who are directly impacted by the fires in Palisades, Malibu, Sylmar. Now I'm hearing there was another one, I believe near Riverside or in Riverside County, that's been contained. And the first responders, oh my gosh, I mean, this is like full blown, like a movie type thing where you're seeing we need assistance from neighboring states, Nevada, Oregon. Firefighters have been deployed. They're on the road. They probably have arrived. And it's really wild to see and hear. And what's really sad and scary is that we're repeating this from 2019. And we have just come out of trying to settle the insurance issues and this insurance crises where we've still lost a good amount of insurance companies who are not writing policies in California. And now we've got this major subsequent fire that has burned thousands of property, and there's extensive damage. And I heard this morning that there's some lives have been lost during this. So there's still more developing in this story. So it's really sad. So I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge and sending thoughts, prayers, and positivity to those who are directly impacted and affected by the fires. I know when we woke up this morning, it felt like inside our home, like when you burn a candle and you blow it out, and that's what it smelled like inside our home. So when we stepped out this morning, you could see the smoke, you can smell it. And so I know certain areas have been evacuated. If you don't need to be out, you shouldn't be out. I continually count my blessings to have co-created a life that I can work remotely. I can work from home. I mean, you have no idea, from the pandemic to now, I continue to be in a space of gratitude that I've created a lifestyle that I can work remotely and don't have to be physically out and about. And so I feel for those of you who have to be physically out during this time. So we appreciate your continued work and your effort to continue to do what's needed. All right. With that being said, I wanted to come on here and share some updates. I know I kind of went MIA for a couple weeks because I'm still in the trenches in studying. I'm in my last term of law school. Woohoo! I will be done. I'll be done. So I'm excited about that. I'm so excited. But I do want to share some announcements. So one of those things is we'll talk about the 2025 California laws that have gone into effect. For the last couple of years that I've done this show, I've led with discussing, hold on. Let me turn off phone and vibration, all that fun stuff. I've led with discussing new laws for for the year, coming into the new year and the fiscal year, what laws have come into play. And it's funny because I was doing that before I joined law school. None of this, by the way, is meant to be legal advice. I'm not here giving you legal advice. So, of course, that makes me send the disclaimer that the information on this show should not be considered legal or tax advice. Please seek those legal and please seek those licensed and reputable professionals regarding your unique situation. Okay, you get that? You get that? All right, before I jump into this real quick, I actually just want to come back here and talk about 2025 and writing down your real estate goals. We talked about this. We talk about this every year, and we condense this or turn this big elephant into pieces and chunks, right? How do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. And the best way that I've done it, and I love that my son mentioned this yesterday. He said, Mom, they've got this new program or new thing they're introducing in the school is to introduce goal setting. And I believe that's fantastic because, yeah, in truth, there are a lot of people who don't know how to set goals and much less execute on those. Where do I begin? How do I begin? What is a goal? What counts as a goal? And if anyone knows me or has worked closely with me, know that I've got a nice list of about 200 plus. The goal for me is like 500 goals, because then you're really tapping into universal laws here. And that's a whole other class. Not on this show will I talk about that. But if you definitely want one-on-one, I do that. I do one-on-one consulting and training for entrepreneurs such as myself. And I do talk about goal setting and execution and how to tap into universal laws to get that your manifestations going. Because I'm great at it. I've got a knack for it. It's a gift of mine. And everything I set my eye on, everything I write down comes to fruition. The universe conspires to give me that which I desire. It's easy. All right. So I wanted to start off here. 2025, we're in January. I'm dating the show, January 2025. Write down those real estate goals. So again, if it's listening to a podcast such as this once a week, at least you'll have that in the forefront. If it's wanting to be licensed, visit the Department of Real Estate website, find out what the licensing requirements are. If it's purchasing a property, start saving, get in the habit of saving, start small, $5, $10, $50, $100, right? There's a way to do that, and there's apps to do that. So if you're wanting to improve your credit, start focusing on paying down debt, right? So small, start with one and then work your way through the list. If you haven't already, pull your annual credit report. Now I have to jump to that reminder here. Listen, make sure, where is my annual credit report? Oh my gosh, I took it off. I'm so mad. Hold on. What? Scourge. Okay. While you all share, like, and press 1, let me know you hear, and press 2, let me know you shared it. Make sure you review your annual credit report. Yeah. I just like banners. Okay. Make sure you view your annual credit report at annualcreditreport.com. This is the only government-sponsored website that you can review your credit report for free. Does not include credit scores, although some of your bank, my bank includes my credit scores on my TransUnion, Discover. I've got a Discover credit card. They include your credit score. So it's not like a secret anymore. I've noticed is they now show you what your credit score is. I think this is the whole watchdog movement to get on top of these credit bureau agencies to be more transparent and stop trying to sell people information for big business and big profits. So I like that. Now you can have access to your credit score. With that being said, don't let this year go by and you don't review what's on your credit report. I reviewed last year. I was checking our credit report, of course, taking my own advice. And I realized that I didn't check my son's credit report. And I got like this message. I think it was um, there's like a settlement because one of the health insurance providers, they had a leak in terms of information, and I think his information had got exposed. So now we ended up putting a credit alert and all that other stuff and lock on his credit profile. So make sure you check for yourself, and if you have children, your children's credit reports. The folks will be out there running up a credit, and when they're ready to use it, they can't qualify for purchases because someone's out there, making a muck of their name. Right? Don't say I didn't share this with you. Don't say no one told you, because now someone told you. All right? Good stuff here. All right, what else? What else? I think that's it. I want to get into today's show. It's a good one here. Before I do that, we'll be right back after sponsor break.
We know how challenging it can be to try and sell a home while also dealing with other financial and legal matters. We're here to help. Devenio Estates is the real estate firm you need to make sure your unique situation is handled as quickly and efficiently as possible. Our team of professionals has a combined experience of over 30 years in real estate, construction, and finance industries. As active professionals in the industry, we know the importance of timelines and pride ourselves in providing superior service without compromising integrity. We use industry software and copyrighted proposals so that our real estate agents submit accurate and complete listing information and buyer offers. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and set Devenio Estates as the go-to real estate firm for excellence in advocacy and superior services for our clients. Contact us today to learn more about our services.
Shameless plug, but very proud of our brokerage. Doing great things, already kicking off the year really great. So it's interesting. We're at a very interesting market. And I know when I say that, you feel like, oh, Lisa, you're just saying that. No, this market is interesting. Okay. Let me continue that dialogue throughout the show, throughout the year. You will see some very interesting things are unfolding right before our eyes. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button again. Let someone know you're here. Let someone know you shared it. We'll jump right into discussing California 2025 laws. Let me see, which view do I like? Do I like me down here or me over here? I think I like me over here. Hold on. Me over here is cool. Yeah, this is good. All right, let's get into it. First one. No, got to put myself over here. All right. First one's up. Oh my goodness. I remember going on an entire rant. I was listening to the radio, talk radio, last year already, right? And I was in the car with my son, and I remember hearing them say, and this was before this became legislation, or it was in the works. And I remember hearing them say, oh, it's the new law. It's the new law that buyers have to sign an agreement with their real estate agent. And I was thinking, I was still on the fact that that was something that was put into play as part of the NAR settlement in August. That became, we started doing that in August. So I was like, no, this is part of the settlement, you guys. And then I realized as I started to hear more, read more, learn more, this is why reading is important. I then realized, oh, wait, California signed into law that for all licensees representing or working with buyers need to have a representation agreement. Not only do they need to have a representation agreement, that agreement needs to be signed before they tour any home. So this is for residential, 1 to 4 units, residential. Go figure. So for those of you who've been looking in the market, and I've consulted some new clients who have been in the market, they're kind of just dating, right? So this is the difference between dating and hiring professionals. You'll go out there dating different people, not committed. And then something like this happens, like there's a new law that goes into effect that says you've got to commit for at least 90 days, right? 30, 60, 90 is 3 months, 90 days. to an agent, and you'll be sticker shocked or shocked overall and say, wait, I didn't have to do that before. I didn't have to sign an agreement to go see a house in California. You now do. And these agreements will be and are capped at 3 months. They've got to be very clear, or they can be void or voidable and non-enforceable. So for you agent professionals, I'm sure you're getting your training. I'm sure you're reading. I'm sure you're paying attention to what these terms and agreements need to include. But in specifics, for you buyers out there, you will be consulting or meeting with buyers, or excuse me, meeting with agents who will be very direct and clear about what their fees should be. In fact, they should be very direct and clear and transparent in terms of how much they're charging you, what are they charging you for, when are you to pay them, and how to terminate the contract. So there should be a contract termination provision in that agreement. The association, specifically CAR, California Association of Realtors, has provided various forms. There have been tons of forms that have been recently updated. And we've got tons of homework, tons of reading, tons of learning. And again, we're already in working with clients, so we're seeing how this is playing out. If again you've been looking and this is now new to you, no, this is a new normalcy. For those of you who are starting to look this year, guess what? You are the new generation that will be experiencing a very normal dialogue of hiring professionals, and that is inclusive of real estate agents, brokers. So that is really cool for me, because we've always led with having our clients sign representation agreements because it protected our commission. It made our duties clear. It made the transaction much more smoother, and people valued the time that we took to really go over agency disclosures and contract terms and terminology. So if you haven't been doing this already as an industry professional, I welcome you and invite you to a new way, if it's a new way for you, of doing things. And you'll enjoy this new way. Why? Is because you'll find that people will really decide, right? They'll be very clear on, do they respect and value your time? And on the other side, are you communicating your value? And as cliche, it sounds very overdone right now. Communicate your worth, communicate your worth, communicate your worth. But it's not just about communicating your worth. It's really just about just stepping up our industry, leveling up our business to where people know that what we do is valuable, it's important. Yes, they should hire us if they like you, right? If they know, like, and respect you, they should hire you to do the job just like they would hire a contractor, a tax preparer, doctors, accountants, lawyers, attorneys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You go out there and hire everyone else. And so now real estate agents are inclusive of those people that you need to be hiring too, and also be paying for those services. Also, in light of discussing contracts, payment of those services, do know that, and this is the big thing, that why there was a lawsuit in the beginning, do know commissions are not fixed by law, so commissions are negotiable. Right. So I like this one. Let me know how you feel about this one. I know I like this one, again, because it doesn't really change things, but here's what I've seen. Oh my gosh, should I tell my story already? I've had a horror story. I don't really have proof. I don't have proof, but here's what I've seen and what I saw this coming. So for you buyers, just a heads up, not all your agents are going to like that if they have to take a hit on their commission, whether the seller or the buyer is not willing to commit to the payment based on whatever was agreed upon, depending on how the deal is negotiated. Do know that your agent may likely sabotage your deal. And what I mean by that, they may tell you that your offer didn't get accepted, or the seller went with someone else. If the seller decided they weren't willing to pay the full commission or assist on the commission. And here's the logic behind that. Real estate agents are hurting right now. They're hurting. It's been a tough 2024. It's been tough. And so if you got one or two clients here and there and you don't know where the next check is coming from, you are likely going to push your client. I'm going to use the word steer here. You're likely going to see more agents steering their clients who are not able to sustain themselves because of this, the way the market's been going. You're likely to see agents steer their clients into properties that are going to spend more, right? Purchase price. They're likely you're going to see more clients being maxed out on those purchase prices, those pre-approvals. You'll also see clients being steered in direction where the commission is offered to the buyer's agent based on what the buyer and the agent agreed to. In other words, if they can get someone else to pay for the commission and not have the buyer pay for it, that's where they're going to go. And oftentimes, does that mean it's the best deal? Not necessarily so, because every circumstance and situation is different that would prompt someone to sell a property. And you may not understand that the terms, and I say this to all my clients, it's not always about price. Terms is everything. If you need time, if you need this, if the property needs work, there's just so many different nuances in each transaction that you've got to determine for you whether it makes sense to move forward in that deal. So I don't have proof, but I've already seen some resemblance of sabotage happening regarding commissions. And I think my best weapon right now in this time is making sure that we present withdrawal of offer forms to the other side so that the buyers are at least acknowledging when their offers are being withdrawn. They should sign off on it. It's not something we can enforce on our end, but if it comes down to it, at least we can paper trail and show that, hey, we were told their offer was withdrawn and we asked them to sign the withdrawal offer, but we never heard back from the other side. So that's all we can go from here with that. And with that being said, I anticipate there's going to be a lot more lawsuits to follow over folks, I would say shady agents sabotaging their own buyer clients over commission breath. All right, I said it. I wasn't really going to say that publicly, but hey, that's the beauty of having your own platform and you're a person who leads with transparency and integrity. I can't help myself sometimes. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one, I like. This one we've done as a strategy. It looks like legislation has caught up with what we were doing industry wide. This is thanks to the title company, escrow companies, the agents, everyone who's involved in helping homeowners get the extended time they need to be able to sell that property on their terms and move on, as opposed to being foreclosed on. So this one I like. This one is a win for our industry, because now this becomes a standard process to get those extensions if you are in foreclosure. And you can get that extension in one of two ways. And the first being, not necessarily the first, but one of those ways is by submitting a signed listing agreement. Now, there are strict terms and rules regarding those listing agreements. And so what that looks like, in order to qualify for the 45-day extension by listing agreement, number one, there must be a signed agreement with a licensed California real estate broker. So you've got to hire and use a professional. That doesn't mean you're going to get the extension if you're working directly with other folks who are not licensed or who are selling you this big dream or pie in the sky. So licensed real estate broker. Two, the listing must be placed in a publicly available marketing platform. For us, that means the MLS, the multiple listing service. And it's so funny because these rules mirror exactly what we've done to successfully get the extension on foreclosures and postpone the trustee sale or the auction dates. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what trustee sales are, it's basically the auction date when the lien holder is foreclosing on a property. So I'll continue. Number three, the executed listing must be sent by certified mail with USPS or other overnight mail courier service. Now, this is new because what we used to do, well, what I've done, and we were able to do, actually, no, I did. I would email, I would fax, and I would send certified mail. Oh my goodness. Yes. So all they're doing is they're standardizing what we've done. So woohoo, kudos to us as the agents and everyone else involved to create some type of standard to get the extension of what's acceptable. So this, of course, they're going to want tracking and confirmation of signature that someone received it and signed off and when they got it. Do know that this has to take place 5 business days before the trustee sale date. So again, the last requirement of getting that extension by the listing agreement or using the listing agreement is that the trustee must receive the listing agreement 5 business days prior to the scheduled date of sale. So what we've done is we followed these exact protocols in the past. So that means we'll just continue doing that, and we're good. We're good here. So now we do know there's no guessing if we're going to get that extension. Also, they want to make it clear that you can only use this one time. So once it's granted and you've used the extension for the listing agreement or by way of listing agreement, you get your 45-day extension. That's it. You don't get to get that, use that extension again. What is also cool is that you can also and or get another 45-day extension by way of the purchase agreement. What does that mean? That means that you need to submit and present a fully executed purchase agreement. So you've got a bona fide buyer, includes the name of the buyer, sale price, closing date, and acceptance by the designated escrow agent. So make sure you get an executed offer and you get your escrow to sign. There's a section on the RPA. You all industry professionals know this. This is why you work with licensed brokers. There is the acknowledgement section by the escrow or settlement company to date stamp that they've received it. They're acknowledging that offer. Okay, so that's important. The second thing is it has the purchase price that is equal to or greater than the amount of the unpaid balance of all obligations of record secured by the property. That means if it's short and you're asking to push that sale through for less than what is owed on that property, you will not get this extension. Instead, you need to be going the short sale route, getting short sale approval by the lien holders, right? You can work with the trustee with that, but ultimately that approval needs to come by the lien holders. And then that's it. So that's important. Is it? I feel like I'm missing some. That's it, because then the requirements are the same in terms of certified mail and tracking, and it has to be received 5 business days before the trustee sale date, just like the listing agreement. I'm kind of scared myself. I was like, that's it? Yeah, that's it. So again, strict rules apply, but the good news here is, yay, this is a win for the industry, for homeowners, as we continue to work with preserving that equity in the house so that you're not, and that's a difficult thing. If we could, I say this all the time, if we knew what would help people grasp the fact that they are losing their home to a foreclosure sooner than later, I mean, that would be worth so much. It's hard to determine when the light bulb goes off. For me, when we worked with our latest client, that light bulb went off 10 days before the auction date. And that was immense pressure and a lot of disclosure that there is no guarantee that me coming in, right? And this is why this legislation is important, is because I came in 10 days before the trustee sale date. So that means I had a listing agreement signed, executed 10 days before the sale date. And under this law, had we been in 2025, I definitely would have known that I would have been guaranteed a 45-day extension at that time last year when we had to go through that. Can you imagine the pressure I was feeling and experiencing? But we got it done. Oh my goodness, we got it done. We got so many things done. Okay, moving on. Foreclosures are not a laughing matter. It's not funny, but we get it done. I like this one, and especially because there are a lot of folks that do handyman work and side jobs. And oftentimes people don't know this, that the contractor state licensing board governs that type of work. And last year, you needed a contractor's license to do work that was $500 or more. So effective this year, that limit's been raised to $1,000, meaning if the total of the project is uh, inclusive of labor and materials and does not exceed $1,000, they do not require a contractor's license. So that's good for a lot of folks who earn their living on those handyman projects. So that's some relief there. Also, I will refer you to the Contractor State Licensing Board website as a consumer to understand some more of the rules when you are hiring contractors regarding projects that you want to get done for your properties. Okay, so definitely know the rules. Know the rules in terms of how to navigate that. And this one is huge. This one is huge for qualified commercial tenants. So this is business owners, small business owners in particular. So we've seen the tenant protection rights extended for residential tenants. And now we have legislation that protects your small business tenants. So this only applies if you are a qualified commercial tenant. And in order to qualify as a commercial tenant, that means that you'll now receive a 90-day notice for rent increases greater than 10%. You will also get a 60-day notice to terminate if you've been occupying the space more than a year. So that's similar to residential. I like this. I like knowing these little nuances right now. I don't know. I don't think it'll be tested on the bar exam. Maybe by the time I get ready to take it, it might be, but it's good ammo for me to know these procedural rules here in terms of tenant and landlord law. You now know it too by listening to the show. And here's a good one. If the lease was negotiated in certain languages, obviously or likely other than English, most our contracts are in English. Now the tenant needs to be provided a translated copy of that lease agreement. Huge, huge. So what does a qualified commercial tenant look like? Micro enterprise. So a business with 5 employees or less, or a restaurant with less than 10 employees, a nonprofit with less than 20 employees. And finally, in order to be considered a qualified commercial tenant so that you can exercise your rights under this new this tenant protection, you need to self-attest to your status before or upon signing the lease agreement, and you need to attest each year thereafter. So this is good. This is good. This is a good one. Make sure you share and let folks know that there's been some changes. I'm not covering all the laws that have gone to effect, because there's one with daylighting, with parking, that I really like. I'm gonna share. I'm kind of sidebar. So there is one on daylighting, meaning you cannot park 20 feet from a corner of an intersection because you are blocking the visual pathway or walkway for the pedestrians. So I like that one. There's another one that there's a lot more on property. There's a lot of changes to property, managing rental properties, screening fees, how to choose and how to choose the tenant, and then dealing with the applications. Deposits were changed. Also taking before and after photos in terms of move in and move out for tenants. So if you are in that arena, I'm no longer in that arena. We just handle leasing and that's it, but not management anymore, because there's been a lot of changes that I said, we're going to step out on this one. We've got enough to do and enough to manage on our plate with dealing with the sales side of the business, that we're good. We'll just let folks who just strictly do property management do just that. Let them deal with that. So I just wanted to share that with you as a quick like FYI. What I'm covering today is not all inclusive of all the laws that got into effect. It's the ones that I've picked out that I felt were related to real estate, since we're on your favorite real estate podcast, and felt like you should know. All right, moving on from the qualified commercial tenants. This one is huge. So there's been a huge push to get some clarity regarding these ADU laws that have been enacted. I mean, as far back 2018, I think there was limitations when you should, there was guidelines when you need to have illegally converted garages and guest houses and structures to be permitted by a certain period. And then there was more rules, and then cities weren't approving applications, and some cities definitely said we're not going to be supporting this. And there's been lawsuits by the attorney general, or being threatened by the attorney general. It's been a whole mess. But so far, this new legislation essentially is to encourage more ADU applications by homeowners. And now the city is required to have a more streamlined process. This reminds me during the Obama administration, when we had long delays of banks responding to the short sale application packages, and now they're standardized time frames to respond. Same with now ADU applications. City now has 60 days to either approve or respond with. If they respond with a denial, they must include a list of deficiencies and how to correct those deficiencies. That's huge. Instead of waiting until the last minute, time expires, oh, your application is denied, and they're on to the next, and you're wondering, what do I need to do, right? And kind of going in circles. Now there's a lot more clarity. There's a longer list of ADU guidelines that I won't cover today. We'll probably talk more about that as the year evolves, because what I still like to see is, I'd love to connect with maybe some agents or some investor developers or homeowners who are also taking advantage of the lot splits. So now ADUs can be sold separately. And we talked about it briefly on the last show, where we talked about selling your ADU, or I think I said garage sold separately, was a kind of a joke or spin on the fact that the garage is being converted to living space by way of ADU, granny flat, guest house. And you can split the lot, sell the ADU separate, and still maintain your primary residence. What we're also seeing with the changes with the ADU laws is you no longer need to occupy the property in order to take advantage of converting your garage or carport spaces to living space, which opens that up to a lot more investor developers to take advantage of utilizing the spaces on property. While I say this, and I say this in light for, yes, this is great because we are dealing with a housing crisis. Is it providing a solution? Because I don't think the folks who are exhibiting who are unhoused will actually be the folks who are renting these ADUs, because you can get market value, and there are restrictions, rental restrictions that are not applicable for new construction for 15 years, which means that they can recoup a lot of that investment by charging market rents. So that's a whole nother arena, dialogue, and it's important that you consult with professionals regarding ADUs if you decide to jump into building an ADU, and whether you're going to open it to the public market for rental, as opposed to a lot of the conversations I'm hearing right now are folks are building ADUs for family, right? So adult children returning home, or downsizing for senior parents or loved ones, and creating a place for them to age in place. So we're seeing a lot of this ADU conversion and conversation, And we're also still seeing a lot of resistance from cities who don't want to participate. So a lot of that stuff is tied up in court. Some things came through by way of legislation, and we'll continue to see a lot more things unfold. Now, the last one I want to cover is very important, especially as we just came out of the pandemic and a lot of people were ill. And we know people may experience a medical illness or emergency. And one of the things that came out of what we've probably seen in terms of who's being impacted by medical debt and credit score, being able to rent a place, being able to purchase big purchases, are those folks who have medical debt reported on their credit score. In a nutshell, health providers and debt collectors of medical debt can no longer report the debt on a consumer credit report. So no longer have to worry about going to get healthcare because you don't want to impact your score. I mean, if it comes down to having to make a choice like that, we're in a bad situation. If anyone has to decide, do I go get medical emergency or not, in order to avoid having to deal with debt collection and thereby impacting your credit score, because then that's becomes a long chain of reactions of financial issues to follow when you need credit to do or accomplish certain things. Especially in my business, in my arena, credit is one of the leading factors that determines your ability to qualify and purchase property. So here we can count on that the medical debt no longer going to be reported on your credit report. In fact, we were talking with a lot of our buyers and in connection with our lender partners that they weren't considering the debt in the first place. And I believe that was in 2023 is when the medical debt was no longer considered as part of when you're looking to apply for a loan. And so now 2025, we've moved the bar further. So now that we said, well, we weren't considering it then, so now let's just not report it on the credit at all. So it shouldn't be showing up at all. Now, do know that this only applies for debt incurred by health provider or debt collector of a medical situation. That doesn't mean if you put it on a credit card and you charge the debt, right, the medical emergency or debt, and you build it to a credit card, this does not apply. So be very clear that it doesn't mean you can charge it to your credit card and say, oh, well, it shouldn't be reported. You guys shouldn't report in my credit. No, that's not what this law is. This law is specifically debt incurred by the health provider and the debt collectors who are trying to collect on that debt. Okay. Ooh, this was good. I went a little long because I did have to catch up, but overall, I've missed you. You've all been great and wonderful in your advocacy and support of the show. We want to continue to keep rocking with great information. So we'll see you next week. I know I say that all the time, but you allow me some grace because I'm in school. We'll start to see a regular schedule sometime in the next, once school is done. But right now, I do believe I'll see you next week, same time, same place on your favorite channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that like button, let someone know where you're getting your real estate information from. And we'll see you next week on another information-packed episode right here on Ready, Set, Real Estate. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Ready, Set, Real Estate podcast with Lisa Gillett, the LA Super Agent. Thank you for listening to the Ready, Set, Real Estate podcast with Lisa Gillett, the LA Super Agent. Please like, subscribe, and share LA